Push It is just iconic. If that's a song I had to like, this is it, this is the only song, it would definitely be Push It.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Need to Be Acting Show with me, Reuben Rabstein, and joining me for this exclusive Switchbox TV interview is an actor, writer, producer, and the woman who starred in Salt N Pepa. Welcome along, Laila Odom. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm jealous because I know you're in sunny LA.
I am. It is sunny. It's early. It's like 9 a.m., 9:11. But the sun is going to come out even more probably like in the next hour. So you'll be even more jealous in a little bit.
I am. So I'm going to keep that quiet because I'm actually feeling inside. And you're in a nice swanky getup at the minute.
I'm home. That's where I am. Where I've been for the past year. I've been home quite a bit.
Yeah. Cooped up. But first things first, a huge congrats on the film Salt N Pepa because it is so entertaining and just, of course, about the iconic group as well. So how much character preparations need to go in to playing somebody like Pepa?
Okay, great. That's a great question. It takes a lot of time because the thing is, remember, we're talking about them not in the present, but them 35 years ago. Mm-hmm. So just try and think about how you were when you were 6. Like you might not remember being 6 and all of the antics that you had at 6, but at 18 and 19 for them, they're different women. You know, they were kids when they first got started. So a lot of it, which was fun, was tapping into like a very youthful, nonchalant type of like, you know, I can say whatever I want to say, something that we don't do. I think past the age of like 21, we kind of like think about what we say, but it was so nice to be able to kind of just say and do what I want. But it took a lot of preparation, even though there wasn't a lot of footage on them at 18, 19, me and my co-star Gigi Townsend, we watched everything that we could get our hands on. Pepa wrote a book called It's All About Pep. So that was like my framework of me getting to know the situation because there was so much that I think I didn't know as well as the audience. Like we just didn't know what they were going through back then. So did that. And then I had time to spin with her. So like I said, her mannerisms are not going to be the same because it's a 35-year time gap of the time that we start and then when we finish. But just getting her mannerisms, just getting like how someone would be, a teenager would be in 1985, 1986.
It's true. And you mentioned this research process. Now, you've previously said that if people want to research a singer now, then you look no further than Instagram.
Right.
So how hard was it for you then in that case?
It was limited information. Like, for example, I think one of the best examples would be Cardi B. You can see the start and where she is. You can literally like step by step see where she started to where she is now. But even for an artist like Nicki Minaj, we have like where she came from and how she started, but not like how artists today, we can just tune in and watch a live. We can tune in and watch a live from 2 weeks ago or however long ago. Think about a time when we did not have social media at all. And it just heavily relied on like interviews and articles and word of mouth. So that's kind of how I did my research. I also reached out to some of the dancers that were actually Salt N Pepa dancers that are now actors. So Flex Alexander is one of them. Reached out, just trying to cover my bases and just give a very authentic performance in terms of knowing that era, knowing how they spoke and what they wore, what was happening back then. So it was a lot of research because we just we don't have the resources like we do now when you can really tune in and really watch somebody for hours on end. So a little different, but still fun.
They're on a screen in front of your face. It's like they're in your living room.
It's like you grow up with them. It's like you know exactly like what they like, what they don't like, what song is coming out next. it's crazy how much insight that we have into artists now that we didn't have 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So yeah, that was a fun part though.
Yeah, and you've also said that in one of your callback sessions, you had to freestyle in front of the producer. So how did that go?
That was like, first of all, we didn't know we were gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
So I just kind of did it. It was very nursery rhyme-esque, but I did it. Good old 8 bars. I did that. But it was fun. And then you had to rap, sing the song. So we did, our audition song was Shoop. So sometimes I think people don't know the words of the song. So you'll fill it in and it's wrong. So for me, I probably did not know the words as well as I thought I did. So I had to get the words and learn it because I knew it already, but I didn't know it to be able to perform it for people who are like, those are not the words. So I had to learn that. And that was fun too. It was a longer audition process, but it was still a lot of fun.
And you grew up listening to this iconic group. So yeah. Because of that, was this the dream role for you?
I think so. Imagine, like, I'll tell you, this is a really weird kind of putting it all together story. I have a friend, his name is Woody the Great. Woody played Bobby Brown. And I remember like helping him with this audition material and just kind of like saying to the universe, like, that's amazing that you get to rap, act, sing, dance. I would love to do that. 3 years down the road, same writer as New Edition writes the Salt and Pepa movie. And here I am playing the lead, playing Pepa. And it was like, it's so crazy that sometimes you get what you want, you know, if you say it and you believe it. And for me, I had no clue of Salt and Pepa. I had no clue it was in the works, nothing. And then it happened. So it's almost surreal to be able to get the role and then to be able to sit with the character that you're playing. It's not like she's 70, 100 years old where she doesn't like, no, they're still performing the songs. They're still performing and touring. So it's really different to be able to have such a close experience with the actual person.
Yeah, and they were still going strong. But actually speaking about that, they were both on set sometimes during filming. How nerve-wracking is it playing Pepa in front of Pepa?
I think that part was tough. Pepa had one of the first scenes that we shot in Toronto, Canada, and it was cold. So we started shooting in October. So imagine coming from LA, even though originally I'm from the East Coast, so I'm from cold weather, but it doesn't matter. Cold. I wasn't ready for October, it being freezing. So Pepa was there that day, and it was the first day of me like working with her son, the character that plays her son, who is like no more than 2 years old. And she's like, you can't just leave him like that. That's your son. And I was like, oh, yes, son, let me get that into my mind. I don't have children. So it showed, you know what I mean? Like it showed how selfish I am. Yeah. And it showed that like when the person's on set, they forget the director, the writer, the living person is there. She knows best. She knows the story. And then maybe like a month later, we were shooting a scene. We were shooting the making of Push It. And Pep wasn't there, but Cheryl was, Salt was. And I did something and she was like, Pep would have totally done that. Like, that's exactly what she would have done. So it worked in such a way that it was like, wow, I have the people right here. And it was a cross reference. So once in a while, Pep might say something to Gigi, who's playing Salt, of just reminding us that they're there and they're guiding and like letting us know when we're on target and when we're not.
Mm-hmm. And what was it like working with the wonderful Gigi Danson?
Oh, I absolutely adore Gigi. So it was fun. And I think that us shooting in a different place, not New York, not LA, it forced us to bond and to really work on a friendship. And I think that you see that on screen of like us learning, like I said, I knew Gigi already. We kind of, LA in the last like maybe six years or so, there was a lot of people that were creating content that started on Vine, that went to Instagram, YouTube, everything like that. Yeah. But we met over at All Def Digital. This is a few years ago. We met at All Def Digital and we were working with the same people. So it was unreal almost when the process started. I called her and I was like, hey, so how do you feel about the project? Like, we're at callbacks. I see your name on the list. Like, what's up? So it was a really great and special opportunity for me, for her, and for us to kind of like bond and really forge this friendship, just the same as we see the girls do in the movie.
The friendship certainly does shine through on screen as well. I wonder if, because music is such an incredible way of almost processing the world, and Salt and Pepper did that so well. What do you think the best ways were that they actually did that in?
I think that Let's Talk About Sex was a really big monumental turning in their career. It got them a different level of notoriety, and they're talking about a huge disease that was affecting a lot of people. Magic Johnson in that time period had just kind of come out with that he was infected. So I think that was a really big time for them. And that was a really huge song that had like a ripple effect of, it wasn't just the music, but it was a social commentary of what was happening at the same time.
And did you have any other music role models growing up?
Oh my God. I think for me, like I was born in Jersey and then I moved to New York and then I moved to LA. So I think hip hop as a whole definitely like influenced my entire life. Like I grew up on hip hop. Like that's the music, that's the soundtrack of my entire life.
Yeah.
So there's so many artists. It's so many different styles of like music that I have been exposed to, but hip hop is definitely the number one. It's almost unfair for me to try and list everyone that all the different music, all the different. It's almost unfair.
And long, Laila.
Like I don't think I can, but I've definitely. Sorry. Okay, so I live on Hollywood Boulevard, so like sometimes it gets a little
busy.
It gets a little busy. It gets a little like police and ambulance. So that was just a moment of what it sounds like sometimes. I don't know if you could hear it, but I could.
No, but I could hear it through basically the look you gave outside your window. So yeah. I feel like I'm there living it with you.
Yes, pretty much.
You grew up in Jersey. So you grew up in New Jersey. So, I mean, the last time I went to New Jersey, the music scene was just incredible. Okay. And I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. So there you go. Basically, if you're from New Jersey, you love Springsteen. The Stone Pony, all these places. It's such a good music scene. Does that almost just shape your interests growing up?
I think that, like, not Bruce Springsteen. He's from a different place in Jersey. Like,
I know so well, Laila, and then I
messed it up. But when you come into Newark Airport, like he's on the like Wall of Fame for people from Jersey. So I always see him. But I think that when it comes to like hip hop, there were so many groups and moments. Like, I don't know if people know, Queen Latifah was one of the producers who's also from Jersey. And when I look at her career, because I remember her from the start, I can remember her. And I look at the lasting impression that she's left on like the area, like she still comes back and does things, but to go from a rapper to an actor to a producer, like that is incredible. To be a Black woman from Jersey that's still making waves 35, 40 years later. That's huge. So I think that was something that I didn't kind of like touch on, how big of an opportunity it is to be associated with someone like a Queen Latifah. To go back, our director is Mario Van Peebles, who directed New Jack City, which is a legendary film that kind of starts kind of sort of in the same vein of like Salt and Pepper a little bit later. I think it's like maybe the early 90s, but we just had legendary people all around us. So I don't think that we could fail. Like, you can't fail when the person that you're playing is literally 3 feet away from you. Yeah. But the music itself, I think that has really shaped my life. You know, I think I'm a little tougher probably than other places, because I grew up with a sound that was very urban, very street, but at the same time, like, just grounded. You know what I mean? Like, hip hop is it's different now than what it was when I was growing up. It's way different. Yeah, it's way different. But I think that it has kind of forced me to really know what I want and know where I come from and know where I want to go and where I want to be. Who would think 10 years later I would be living on Hollywood and Highland with a film and a billboard on Sunset? That's a dream, honestly.
And in the film, I'm going to be honest with you, Laila, you got some serious moves. Serious moves. Is that, I can imagine that they've saved a lot of money on not hiring a choreographer because you didn't need one.
Hilarious. We did. We had a choreographer that was, this is one of the best parts, who was Canadian but lives in LA. Christian Vincent. Mm-hmm. And Gigi and I both have dance, singing, music experience. So there was a lot of things that, like, I don't think if we had that experience, they would have been like kind of SOL, like you had to groom and prep someone to get them to the place that kind of like we were already at. Mm-hmm. So it was just a matter of like learning, and we learned so many different songs and out of their catalog, complete choreography. So we like went through a boot camp of the dancing, and then we spent time in the studio. So it was really unreal when it comes to experience, to be able to play that and be able to use skills that, I mean, I started off dancing when I was like 6 or 7. I think Gigi the same. So we had the necessary skills to be able to pull that off, because it was not easy, to be very honest. It wasn't easy. We had rehearsal literally like 6 hours out of the day, and then you have to do your lines the next day. And then on top of it, like I said, we're in Toronto, so it's freaking freezing. Mm-hmm. So like, it was a lot of different things, but I would do it all over again. It was such a rewarding experience.
There were lots of things I learned from the film, but the dance moves, I think, was the main one, which is good because I'm a shocking dancer. I just try and dance like Elvis, and of course it doesn't work. But you see, that's how far back I have to go. That's how outdated my dancing is.
There's so many different dances that you could do now that are super easy. Like, we were doing full on choreography. So cool. Elvis is a little bit too far back for you. So if we can bring it out, I don't know, in the last 10 years, you're good.
Elvis is far back. I either say I'm dancing like Elvis or Danny Zuko from Greece, and that's it. That's all I've got.
Come on. Get into the century. Get somebody like, let's get some Chris Brown going. Like, let's do that.
I love Chris Brown. Look at me, Laila.
Try.
I could try, but Elvis is just so cool.
Does that work when you're out? Like, does the Elvis moves, does it work?
Does it work? Define, does it work?
Are the ladies like, yes, I'm feeling that? Do the ladies like it?
It either goes one of two ways, Laila. It's either I'm leaving you now, or okay, I can get behind that. It's nothing in the middle.
Well, that's better than because I thought everybody was going to be like, I'm good.
You have no faith in me. You have no faith in me. Okay, so first it's no Bruce Springsteen, and now it's no Elvis. Which other music royalty are we insulting on this show?
No, I know.
I'm joking.
But no, I love it.
I'm joking. In the film as well, I can see you've taken the whole fashion game right now that you're rocking is just 10-10. And in the film, your style actually progresses a lot throughout the film. The character almost changes, you can tell, through the outfits that you're wearing.
Right.
Well, that's such a good way of actually almost seeing how time shifts is actually through your outfits.
Right, exactly. I think it's the clothing and the hair. You could see the hair change. You knew the first kind of look was definitely 80s, maybe even like a hint of 70s, but mainly 80s. And then as we got into the 90s, the hair changed. She went into braids, like not braids like these, but like, you know, like braids almost like in a hairstyle. Like she had a very signature look when it came to her braids. The thing that I loved about the characters, because they're so young, when they start, they wear sneakers a lot. And I am a complete like sneakerhead. So it was so fun of being able to like wear sneakers, not have to like wear shoes and things like that, because sometimes I do have to wear shoes depending on the character that I'm playing, but sneakers are like my life. So I had such a good time being able to like wear that type of clothing. And then as we see her get older, it changes. And I loved every minute of that progression of like how we went from like urban to like this really chic, sophisticated, but still fun look. I think our costume designer, Michelle Light, did a great job with doing that, you know, and really taking it from start to finish, 84 to about 2001. So that's quite a bit of time. And even makeup changes, like how makeup starts in the 80s, it was a mess, and then it progressively got better. So we had to go through all of those different looks too.
Yeah, some big changes. Every outfit's cool. It's a good representation of the time. I'm going to ask you a question that I know you're going to hate.
Okay.
You're going to hate this.
Okay.
You can only listen to one Salt N Pepa song for the rest of your life. What is it?
That is a little difficult and unfair. Thanks.
Very unfair.
Definitely unfair. I think probably.
Okay, you can list a few.
Okay. There's a song that we didn't cover at all, but it's the, like back then they had, like, think of a record, they had an A side and a B side of a record, like flip it. So the song that I really liked was Tramp. It was like such a fun song. It was a fun video. And I really wanted to be able to do that. We couldn't. Push It is just iconic. If that's a song I had to like, this is it, this is the only song, it would definitely be Push It.
Push It.
None of Your Business is such a fun song too. And we had so much fun like learning the choreography and performing it. That song. And What a Man Is Cool. I don't know if you've seen it, but they redid, well, they didn't redo it, but they did Coming to America 2. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert, Salt and Pepa's in it. And they kind of like remix What a Man. So I think it's a timeless song. We're talking about 30 years later, they're still performing it.
Big time. And your YouTube channel as well, by the way, Laila, has me in stitches. These videos on failed romantic situations, sadly are incredibly relatable, but just so well done. What is the drive behind making content like that?
I think, like I was saying earlier, I was like in a wave of creators 6-7 years ago. And we would just all like collectively get together and like have ideas of like, you know, this is what happens and what happens when you thought you were dating this type of girl and it's this type of girl. I just had fun with it. And I think like, I don't even take my YouTube channel serious. It's just a place where I throw content up when I can, when I remember to. But I think for me, it was just having fun. That was a time of like, I've always been an actor. I wasn't working as much. So I think it was a place for me to kind of like get the ideas and the things that I thought were funny out there. And people thought they were funny too, you know? And that's how I started to grow the following of people just thinking it was funny. It was just a very like simple idea. Like the more simple you get it, the funnier it would be, because it's just like, you know, you have one punch at the end of it. You want to keep it simple. You want to work with someone that you have chemistry with. And I just worked really well with guys. And it just kind of always turned into like these relationships. And I'm always like the crazy girlfriend, or like the crazy, I didn't know it was going to be like this. And it was just so fun. It was like literally so much fun to create that and get people to enjoy it.
It's hilarious. And I showed my mother the video you did on parenting, on the mother death stare. And she's trying to perfect it. So if ever I'm in trouble, I've got you to thank for that.
Yes, exactly.
So you went to Rutgers University.
Yeah.
I'm dying to know, what was Laila Odom like in college?
To be very honest with you, I was like a ghost, in the sense of, after my freshman year, I wasn't on campus a lot. I was back in New York, and I was like in class and auditioning and trying to like really, really be the actor that I wanted to be. I initially started in the arts as a dancer, but due to an injury and due to like different things, I'm a fairly tall girl. I don't know if you can tell, I'm fairly tall. Dance was not going to lend itself for me to have a very long career, if any. So I really started to really just focus on my acting. And when I graduated, the thing about it, like a lot of people don't know, I somewhat finished my degree at USC. So I was in LA, and I was like trying to get an agent and trying to do this. And I'm technically in college. I fly back home to graduate, and people were like, I didn't know you went here. I'm like, yeah, I'm graduating. Don't you see me? Yes, I go here. So for me, I always knew what I wanted to do. So once I got the first year of like being away from home and being a student and learning to live by yourself, I got it. I didn't need to live on campus anymore. I didn't need it. I was like ready for the real world. So I think when a lot of people don't even realize that I went to that school, and it's a big school. So let me say that it's a big school. It's a type of school you might not know somebody at all, and you could have gone at the same time. I got the experience that I needed, and then I started to focus on what I wanted to do. And that was that, and that was it, honestly.
So you're telling me that your dance moves weren't busted out at any parties at Rutgers?
Maybe my freshman year, for sure. I was showing people the moves freshman. But then after that, it was like, no, like I was just ready to be an actor. I was just ready to work on my craft. And that's really what I did. But I think people that know me from like my childhood, I've always been very quick, been very witty when it comes to like the comedy. And it wasn't until I got to LA where I really started to hone that. And like, I went to UCB, which is all like sketch comedy and things like that. So I had to learn the thing that I was already good at, that I didn't know I was actually good. I had to learn how to get better at it and take it from just being able to snap on people. And snap means like, if someone says, you ugly, to be able to take it and give it back quickly without like thinking about, what shit, how am I going to come up with something to say back to that person? So that's the wit, that's the quickness. So that's what I honed and learned how to do better at UCB, in the different sketch comedy, like training centers that I went to here. But dancing freshman year, yes. But being funny, having as I don't know, I guess not attitude, but yeah, we can call it that. Having that all my life. So.
Gotcha. Nothing wrong with having a bit of an attitude.
Just, I mean, but not an attitude, but just being very, very quick. Mm-hmm. I think the sarcasm, like that type of thing, but just making it where that you like it and it's not off-putting. We're like, oh, I don't like her. It's like, oh, she's funny. And I think that's what I was able to like bring to the table.
And tell us, what does the future hold for you? Anything you can divulge, or is everything a bit secretive, under wraps, or you can tell us?
Well, I'm going to open up about a project that I'm working on. This is my own project that I created. Mm-hmm. And it's an international like story. It's about me falling in love with a soccer player from France.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're working on that right now. And I think that it's important as like, I think social media, the world gets smaller when it's like people in London see what you do and they like it, and people in Germany and all over. I think that now everything is becoming a lot smaller. So we can't just think of like a very narrow, like, oh, this is a American comedy. So my idea was to open it up and to include different people and different professions so that we can get a greater audience of people paying attention. So it's just like, so you're in London right now. Mm-hmm. I think the character might end up being English. It depends on who we can cast, but it's based on a true story. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. The working title is called Single AF, so you can fill in the blank for the AF, but that's what it's about.
I think so. Well, I'm a soccer player and I'm part French, so I'm available if you need the role.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me know. I might need you.
Don't worry, I won't tell anyone, but I'm available. Laila, thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed speaking to you. Absolutely love the film and cannot wait to see more of you in the future. And hopefully in the future, we can do this in person. You can teach me some new dance moves because...
Yes. And maybe...
you're good.
Yes. And maybe you can show me some soccer moves and we can put you in the show also.
Deal. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.
You too, Reuben. Have a good one.
Take it easy.
Bye.